This is the Tech Genie, and today I'm going to be showing how to replace the internal battery on a Samsung Galaxy S8. You'll be needing some basic tools, nothing really too extravagant, like some playing cards and a heat gun. Only use a temperature control heat gun when you're doing this. You don't want one that's going to get ridiculously too hot, because you can end up destroying the phone and the battery, and the battery is even more dangerous because it can cause a fire and so forth. So just set the heat enough. Usually I leave it around 270 or so, and then I go ahead and move around the heat gun so that way it heats up the whole back area and it's not localized in one area. You want to do is just to soften the adhesive. You're not trying to burn anything or nothing, so don't go ridiculous on the heat. Just use it enough where it's barely hot enough to touch, but not to the point where you're going to burn yourself. That's usually the correct amount of heat you want to use. And you go around this for a little while. It may vary in time, depends on, of course, your room temperature and so forth, and the type of heat gun you're using. Some are different. So that's why I always take my finger and I go ahead and touch the back of it just to make sure it's hot enough to the point where it's almost too hot to touch, but not quite hot to the point you're gonna burn yourself. So just periodically check it. So I'm going around here. I'm especially going around the top and bottom because that's where they usually put the most adhesive. Usually the sides, they don't got that much adhesive. Once you get to the bottom and top, it's usually pretty easy after that. One thing to note though is you will lose your waterproofing once you remove the back, because if you're red taping it back on there, then you're not gonna get water's gonna be able to get in through those areas. So if you do want to waterproof it again, try to get a Samsung back with the original adhesive and you should be fine. So I'm going to go and get the playing card ready and the blade. One note though, when you do insert the blade, always insert it flat. Don't insert just the pointy and try to go around. Always insert kind of like flat edge and slice into the adhesive, and then insert the card where you sliced into the adhesive. Then you're going to take the card pretty much and you're going to kind of cut through around. This back's cracked, so I really don't care about the back. We'll have to replace later on. Here you go and go around. And then while I'm doing that, I'm going to use another card. And this is why you need more than one card, because you want to keep the adhesive from re-sticking itself back together. So I usually keep one at the top and then I go around with another one on the bottom. Some people will even use 3 cards even. In this case, I usually find 2 is sufficient. So you just going to go around and cut back around it again. Get around that crack. That's why it's a little bit difficult on that side. But you pretty much going to use the card to saw through the adhesive. It's going to take a little bit, especially through the top and bottom. It always does, but the sides are usually pretty easy. Just keep going around, and once you get ready to lift it up, be careful with the charging pad. You don't want to rip it right out. And then another thing too is there is a cable where the fingerprint scanner is connected to. You want to go and gently lift that away so you don't snap and break it off. And then now you got the 2 pieces separated. So go and just put it aside, and then I'll get back to you with the next part. For the next part, we're going to go ahead and be removing the screws for the mid-frame. You're going to need a P800 precision screwdriver. So you want to go ahead and remove all these screws that I'm pretty much pointing at. Make sure you go and remove any visible screws from the mid-frame, otherwise you're not going to be able to get it off. So just go and remove all these screws all the way around, and I'll be right back with you once I get all the screws removed pretty much for the next part. Once you have all the screws removed, put them in a safe place where you're not going to lose them, and then you're going to need the following tools. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the SIM tray. I won't begin to tell you how many people forget to remove the SIM tray. Just insert the SIM tray, remove a hole in the top, and then you can move the tray and put it aside. Okay, then once you get done, and you're going to need your plastic tool. What you're going to do is go at this edge here, and you're go in and lift the antenna with the wireless pad. So we're going to go and lift this away, and then you can go and put that part aside for safekeeping. Next part is pretty easy, just go and remove that. And then we're going to go and remove the speaker assembly with the antenna assembly. Once we get done doing that, the next step is always remove the battery cable first. And in this case, we remove the whole entire motherboard. So just remove these connectors here. And then once you get done, remove the SMA connectors too. Reason why you want to go and remove all these connectors is just in case you accidentally pierce the battery and stuff like that. At least then you can go ahead and save the data on the motherboard and stuff. So what you do is just take the flathead and then you go underneath the SMA and you pop them out. And then you go and pop the second one out right here. Then the next thing you want to go and do is move that connector too. And then we're going to go and take the plastic so you don't damage the main board. Then you just going to put it under the lip there, and then you're going to go and just lift it. And the motherboard will go ahead and slide out pretty much. Now, just make sure you be careful with the battery cable and so forth. Move it out of the way. And then you can go ahead and put the motherboard aside pretty much. So let's put it in the anti-static surface so you don't damage it. And I'll go and put it over here, and I'll be right back with you. Now for removing the actual battery, you'll need some adhesive remover, and I always add a few drops in there. I already pre-did that already. So then the next step you want to go and do is pretty much heat the battery, but you're not going to heat it to the point where it's ridiculously hot. You just want it hot enough to where it's almost barely hot to touch, but not hot because you don't want to destroy the battery. And you don't want it poofing on you or catching fire, so just be very careful. This is a very dangerous part. The next thing you're going to do is just take your pry tool, and I always go at the side because I find it's always better for the battery because it comes out as one piece. Just make sure you don't stab the screen area. Once you pull it out, then you can see it pulled out pretty nice, and just separate it from the adhesive. And you pretty much finished. Just go ahead and put it back together in reverse order and you're done.